Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I don't remember where this idea came from. It could have been my friend Lords. I think she had mentioned it, but I wanted to talk about some of my favorite bands and show some of my CDs off. Admittedly, I don't have nearly as many CDs as I used to. When we moved, I tried to kind of downgrade, and I gave a lot to my friend's thrift store, which was sort of stupid because now CDs have gotten so popular. I probably could have sold a lot of them, but it was stuff that I really didn't either listen to frequently, or a lot of it I rip and I put on a flash drive and I listen to the flash drive in the car anyway. But I kept all my favorite bands and things I really love. I got rid of more of the, tertiary type of stuff that, or I shouldn't say that's not really the correct term, probably the lower echelon things that I like, but I don't necessarily need to own on disc, or as I said, I already have, excuse me, like MP3 wise. So, some of my favorite bands are God Lives Underwater. This was a great industrial metal band in the 90s. Sadly, the lead singer David Riley passed away. We used to talk online when I was a teenager, so I got to know him a bit. And when he passed away, I felt sort of like a loss because I didn't get to completely say goodbye or talk to him in years, and it just kind of felt crappy. So there was a book by Brian Payone called Dreams Are Unfinished Thoughts, and it was all about David Riley and his friendship with him before he passed. And that gave me a sort of form of closure, if you will. But if you like lighter industrial music, maybe Skinny Puppy, not dark like Nine Inch Nails or Ministry, much milder and more upbeat in a sense. Not the lyrics, but the sound. Wholeheartedly, God Lives Underwater is an amazing, amazing band. All their albums are great. Empty is probably my favorite album by them with the Jesus underwater on the cover there. Of course, Faith No More is one of my favorite bands. Mike Patton does some great stuff. I like a lot of his work in Tomahawk, Mondo Cane, Peepin' Tom. Um, Phantomas is pretty good. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty good. His other weird sort of side projects that like is just like a lot of weird noise. Eh, but Mr. Bungle's good. So depending on the band he's working with, I like most of his work. That new album he put out was pretty good. I can't think of the name of the band. It's like a punk thrash kind of band. So I really like Faith No More. They're my favorite of his bands. And all their albums are phenomenal. The last one was my least favorite. It was good, but my favorite is probably Angel Dust or The Real Thing. Those are two amazing albums. Another favorite band of mine is In Excess. I got into them sadly after Michael Hutchence had died, but this is their greatest hits album. I have all their albums. They eventually got a new lead singer for one album, I think, and I was not really feeling him. I think his name was JD Fortune. They got him on a TV show, which was sort of interesting, like a reality TV show, sort of like whatever that stupid show is where they pick singers. I can't think of it. But anyhow, you get my point. And they got this guy, and I just feel like he didn't fit the vibe of the band. His voice was extremely different. And he was okay. But the Michael Hutchence era of In Excess, which is really the true, is great. It's an old pop band. You definitely know a lot of their songs from the radio. They had a lot of big radio hits. And I saw them in concert when I was 18 with who was John Stevens from Noiseworks was doing the cover for Michael Hutchence, obviously because he was no longer with us, and it was really really great. And he sounded and his inflections were like him. And afterwards, I got to meet the band because I was in the street team. So if you like 80s and 90s pop music, In Excess. One of my favorite. I'm not a huge rap guy anymore, especially with new rap. I really don't like a lot of the new rap. But in terms of old rap, no one really tops it for me but Tupac. I think that he was emotional and pissed off and had a lot of interesting stuff to say. He could be sort of oxymoronish, going against his one thing that he's saying and one thing that he's doing. But I feel like no one really brought as much to the table as much as Tupac. I like Biggie, but I love Tupac. And just to stay in the rap vein, WuTang Clan is one of my favorites as well. I enjoyed that they had so many members and that they all sounded very distinct. Cypher Hill, even though I'm not into pot at all, I always liked the way Be Real sounded. And my other favorite rapper who I still listen to is Thurston Howell III. He's an underground rapper from Brooklyn who I think now lives in Miami. And a lot of his stuff is very funny. It's about being on welfare and stealing. So back into regular music. One of my other favorite bands of all time is Godflesh. All their albums are very different. They're very heavy industrial, very machine sounding. I saw them in concert a few years ago with my buddy Hesh. They were amazing in Manhattan. But like this album has sort of a lighter, trippier sort of sound. And then some of their other albums, each album just sounds very different. Some albums have trip hop elements. Some albums have thrash elements. Some albums have heavy metal elements, sort of. I don't know. I'm not really good into classifying genres there. But every album sounds different, but they're all very heavy in their own way and really excellent. And the singer, Justin Broadrick, has other bands he's in with experimental stuff, kind of the way Mike Patton does. Really cool stuff. Another one of my favorite bands is Suicidal Tendencies. They are I guess like a punk band from California. Are they thrash or punk? I'm not really sure, but you would know them. They've been around forever. You know, Lovely and How Will I Laugh Tomorrow When I Can't Even Smile Today. You'll know a bunch of their songs. So one of my favorites, upbeat, great lyrics, you know, a little aggressive and that skater punk type of stuff. These two bands I'm going to put together, even though they don't sound the same. Hypocrisy and Pain. Hypocrisy is a metal band. I'm trying to think what kind of metal it is. I don't know. It's not death metal. Maybe it's like, I have no idea. But Hypocrisy is like a very heavy metal band with lots of screaming and crazy vocals. And then Peter Tagrin's side project is Pain, which is industrial music, which is a little more upbeat, and the vocals aren't as crazy, they're more sing-songy. So highly, highly recommend these bands if you like really heavy metal and if you like sort of industrial, my friend called it once, dance music you want to kill yourself to. Another favorite of mine that sadly no longer really makes music, the Sisters of Mercy. This is a amazing goth band who says they're not goth for some reason. They were popular in, I guess, the early 80s primarily, and then late 80s, early 90s, and then they kind of stopped because of, I think, record disputes and all other stuff. The lead singer is still alive, and he does concerts sometimes, but I don't think they're really putting out any new albums. They have, I think, 3 albums, a greatest hits, and an EP. Excellent. If you like that droney goth music with some kind of elements of, you know, good beats and stuff. It's not droney to where it's like you want to fall asleep. Sisters of Mercy is tops. Another one of my favorite goth bands is the Empire Hideous. This is Mike Hideous. He was a singer for a brief period for the Misfits, so you may have heard of him. Really good gothic music. If you haven't checked it out and you like goth, check them out. In the vein of goth, I guess, or some people say it is goth. The Cure. I love The Cure. I think they're great. You probably know them, Robert Smith. Gothic rock champions, Typo Negative from Brooklyn. You probably know them. And what else do I have here? Depeche Mode, industrial, radio friendly singing. But I love Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode's excellent. One of my favorite punk bands is Black Flag, Henry Rollins. I'm not too big on some of his politics nowadays, so I don't follow him as much as I used to, but I'm a big Rollins band fan. Yeah, I said that correctly. And the Misfits, too. I love the Misfits. So Black Flag and the Misfits are 2 of my favorite punk bands, even though they've become very mainstreamy in a way with the tattoos and the t-shirts and everything over the years. I still like them a lot. Slayer is a favorite of mine. I don't think they're putting out any more albums because of the differences between the band members, but all their albums are great. Even if not the whole albums, you'll find at least a few or a handful of songs on each album that's excellent. Are they speed metal or thrash metal? I think they're thrash. I don't know. I'm not into all the sub-labels. I just know it's metal. And finally here, one of my other favorite rap groups that recently got back together in 3 of the 4 members. They put out one bad album, but the rest of the albums were all really good. The Far Side. They are like a, I guess, melodic rap group. They sing and have little different elements. It's not straight rap, even though they have an album called Plain Rap, which was pretty good. I liked them. It's too bad they all had kind of a falling out and didn't make any more music, but I liked them a lot. They had that soulful kind of sound. Speaking of soul, I'm a big fan of Teddy Pendergrass, Al Green, Marvin Gaye, Sade, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Amazing. I grew up with Barry White and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes through my parents. So that's some of my favorite music and favorite bands. So let me know, guys, if you listen to any of these people and what you think of some of my picks, if maybe some of them surprised you. Thank you guys for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.